together, try and get the right kind of dialogue going so we can make positive change. So thank you for your leadership. To everyone here today, thank you for coming to City Hall for this meeting. Part of the process of change and reform is to invite in leaders of every community, have a real dialogue, a candid dialogue, a thoughtful dialogue on the things that will heal, the things that will bring peace, the things that will bring us forward. And it's the essence of a democracy to never shut down that dialogue. Reverend Sharpton has strong views, and I welcome the display of strong views on the pathway to figuring out how we can work together and make change. That is part of what the democratic process is about. It should never be feared. It should never be held back. So I want to say a warm welcome to everyone coming here together to make sense of how we can better the situation for all of us. And I do think this is what needs to be the beginning of a deeper discussion with all the communities we serve. What leaders have to do always is see a way, find a path, but then bring all of our people along to it. And I think that's part of a bigger process of reform that we came here to do. I appreciate, Reverend, the way you framed my pathway to coming to this office. I want to say in response to that, I take the responsibility of reform and change very, very seriously, but I also know that when we're trying to resolve issues that were years and decades in the making, the work of reform takes real intensity, real effort, and some real patience, and not the kind of patience that suggests that we wait and wait and wait, the kind of patience that says we have to get it right. And this is the path we're on now. Commissioner Bratton's entirely right about training. When you think about anything, about any large human endeavor, getting everyone on the same page, in this case we're talking about almost 35,000 people, getting everyone on the same page, helping everyone to understand what's expected of them, what the rules are, what's the model we hold here in this city, and doing that over and over again. Every professional, I don't care if you're a teacher or an airline pilot or a police officer, every professional needs training and retraining. And it has a huge and tangible impact. So I'll never misunderstand if people want to see the tangible, they want to see results now. I understand that impulse. But I guarantee you, systemic retraining will have a huge impact. And it will help us to bring out the best ideas. It'll help us to draw the police closer to the community and the community closer to police. This is ultimately something that involves mutual respect. And I think it's particularly pertinent that we have faith leaders in this room who are by definition in our society the peacemakers, who are by definition those who create understanding where it doesn't exist. And that path of healing and creating peace and creating dialogue is what we are about writ large. That's really how we will solve these problems in the long run. And the role of clergy is absolutely essential to that process. Everyone feels a sense of pain over what happened to Eric Gardner. I said that when I saw that video, I was deeply troubled. I remain troubled because someone was lost. A family lost someone dear to them, a community lost someone. It pains us to this hour. But Commissioner Bratton's right. We have to find in this tragedy something that will help us get better. It would be a great disservice and injustice to not find change and reform out of this moment, and that's why we are gathered here. Now, Reverend Sharpton made a crucial point. We have two equally important goals: to keep our communities safe, in fact, strive to ever make them safer, and to create that mutual respect. Every citizen be treated with respect. Every citizen treat the police with respect. True mutual respect. It is hard to achieve. We're a big, complicated city, 8.4 million people. But this is the mission we're on: to create that mutual respect while keeping crime low. I want to commend Commissioner Bratton and Chief Banks and everyone at NYPD for continuing to drive down crime. And I also want to commend them for starting aggressive processes of reform so that we can have low crime while creating more dialogue and mutual respect. But we have to do both. Reverend Sharpton's exactly right. One without the other is a disservice to the communities we all serve. The idea we've put forward from the beginning is that we have a clear ethic running through our approach to policing. It has to work by definition. It has to work materially. We have to see people are safe and getting safer. And when we saw, for example, recently, particular problems in public housing, we added a large number of police officers to some of the developments that were most trouble. We added additional lighting. We added additional youth programs to help young people have a positive alternative. We are obligated to make those moves, those decisions, those adjustments whenever we see a problem. And that is certainly quintessential to the approach that Commissioner Bratton and Chief Banks have taken. So we have to get that right each and every day. But the ethic underlying that is creating understanding that everyone who wears a uniform, just what Commissioner Bratton said the day he was announced, he said the day he was sworn in. Policing in New York City has to be constitutional, it has to be respectful, it has to be compassionate. That's an incredibly powerful sentiment, and this commissioner has said it time and time again. And if that is our guiding star, I think that summarizes a lot of what we all came here to do. Commissioner has also said repeatedly, you can't break the law to enforce the law. Again, an essential notion that now is the official viewpoint of this police department. And that is a powerful step forward that will yield results more and more over time. To all the clergy leaders, yes, today we're going to be hearing your insights, your suggestions, your beliefs, your recommendations, but it's also the beginning of a partnership for action. And everyone knows that we in this building believe in getting things done, and we're going to be turning to you to act with us, and the door will always be open for your ideas and suggestions on how we can act better. Reverend Sharpton and I have had that relationship for a long time, and we've been able to do good by having that sense of collegiality. I've mentioned the extraordinary work of Commissioner Bratton and Chief Banks and all the leadership and all the men and women of the NYPD following this pathway of safety and respect. Some of the leaders of the administration are here, including First Deputy Mayor Tony Shorus, Deputy Mayor Lillian Barrios Paoli are playing a key role in these efforts. Rachel Nordlinger, Chief of Staff to the First Lady, well known to many of you, is playing a key role. Someone who's been at this work in many, many forms for many years now as our corporation counsel. Zach Carter has been an essential part of our equation to create these reforms. We have a team here that's focused and ready to get things done. And I'm going to go over some of the things we've done already and the pathway forward. And of course, a profound thanks to Councilmember Debbie Rose, who's been a partner in all we have been doing. And thank you for your leadership in so many ways. I said in the beginning of this journey that we would make change and we would make it now. And if you look at the situation with what was a broken stop and frisk policy, I think it's one of the best examples. We aggressively settled outstanding lawsuits. I want to thank Zach Carter again for the extraordinary work he did to turn that page. We changed the approach, we changed the policy, and numbers are abundantly clear. In the first quarter of 2013, there were nearly 100,000 stops. In the same period for this year, 14,000 stops. And those stops, more and more with more and more training, are being done the right way when there is a rationale. And when there is actually a reason that leads to further action. We all know in the previous dynamic, almost 90% of those stopped. Got no summons, no arrest, no nothing, because they hadn't done anything. Now you see people stop more and more because there is a reason and there is a consequence. And that's what we set out to do. In Commissioner Bratton, I appointed the finest police leader in the United States of America, period. I'm convinced of that. I did a lot of research to make sure it was someone who could do those two things right, keep us safe and create this atmosphere of respect. And anyone who has not looked at Commissioner Bratton's achievements in Los Angeles really should. I know Reverend Sharpton had a chance to see some of that work in action. The LAPD was in a particularly tense and difficult dynamic with the communities it was supposed to serve. Some of that is legendary. And Commissioner Bratton was charged with turning that around and creating a relationship between police and community where literally it had almost never existed. And he did that to an extraordinary degree. And that body of work, that evidence that he had the ability to create that kind of reform and rebond police and community is one of the powerful reasons why he sits here today as our commissioner. Another thing I appreciate deeply about Commissioner Bratton is he understands the important role of oversight. He's spoken about it many times. He doesn't deny its importance or act like it doesn't exist or suggest it's a burden. He understands in democracy it's necessary. In Los Angeles, again, there are many layers of oversight, and an atmosphere of collaboration was created where police and oversight entities work together. It was part of why the reforms happened so well. We now have in New York City today a different approach to oversight. We have an Inspector General in Phil Yor, brand new role, brand new leader in that role that's going to help us make the relationship between police and community better. We have a new head of the Civilian Complaint Review Board, Richard Emery, a well-known reformer and change agent who's going to help us make that entity what it should have been long ago and make it fair to both community members and police officers by creating speedy and clear judgments so that no one is left with a situation of justice denied or a process that leads them to nowhere. These are reforms that are going to have a big effect that have taken place just in the last months and are going to yield fruit more and more. We know that this tragedy has gotten us all a frame of mind to figure out solutions. And we know that we're also waiting for these investigations to go forward, as Commissioner Bratton said. The DA, Internal Affairs, the review that the CCRB will undertake of the chokehold complaints it has received over the last few years, all of these elements of oversight are going to have an impact. The change has been happening. The change will continue to deepen, and it will be felt in every neighborhood of this city. We also have to perfect the citizen element of this change, because it's ultimately always a two-way street, the relationship between police and community. We've got to create mutual respect. We've got to create a spirit of cooperation. We've got to create a sense that we are all in this together. Part of what we hoped to achieve in the changes we made was the idea that the trust would regrow, that there'd be a rebonding between police and community so that community members would be the first to help alert the police when there was a problem. First to help the police do their job better, and police would respond with the appreciation and the collegiality that is necessary to keep building that relationship. We had an incident in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, just a few months into my term. 2 young police officers were shot at by a criminal. One hit, falls on the street, the other one runs away. The other perpetrator runs away, the other officer runs after him. Community members immediately came to the aid of the fallen officer. Other community members pointed out where the perpetrator had fled so the other officer could get to the perp and arrest him and get the gun away from him, and therefore keep everyone safe. It's a little moment, one small moment in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, but it illustrates where we need to go. That notion that we are all bonded and we're all in this together. A lot has to happen to get that to be pervasive and an everyday reality in this city, but that's where we have to go. I know everyone around this table is a part of that solution, and we have to bring it to the grassroots. Real social change occurs at the grassroots.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's good that we're sitting here in City Hall. It's good that we're thinking together, but then all of us have to bring it to the grassroots. And that's where it will actually stick and become part of the firmament of this city. I'll conclude simply by saying I not only appreciate this gathering, it gives me hope, it gives me confidence that we're going to get somewhere together. I take Reverend Sharpton's admonition to heart. The time is now. I don't think in anything we came here to do that we expected to wait to make change. I don't care if we're talking about pre-K or affordable housing or any other topic. Change has to happen now. And so this dialogue today is about figuring out how we take real, tangible steps together. Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Thanks.